Taylor Frankie Paul is back in headlines again, but this time the image is quieter than the controversy around her. A family trip to Moab with her two older children, shared just as multiple Utah investigations and a temporary custody fight continue to unfold behind the scenes. The real question now is not just why she posted that trip, but what this moment says about where her public life, her family life, and her television future stand as of April 2026. And for more celebrity updates and trending entertainment news, subscribe, like, and share to support Starline Daily. On April 3rd, Paul shared Instagram stories showing herself in Moab, Utah, with daughter Indy, 8, son Ocean, 5, and other relatives. Public reporting tied the posts to a family getaway that included time at a boutique hotel and an off-road tour. Paul shares Indy and Ocean with ex-husband Tate Paul, while her youngest child, Ever, 2, is shared with ex-boyfriend Dakota Mortensen. What makes that family trip so loaded is the timing. Paul's Moab update arrived while two separate Utah police matters involving her and Mortensen remained active in public reporting. Draper police said in mid-March that there was an open domestic assault investigation involving the former couple, and that allegations had been made in both directions, with contact made with the involved parties on February 24th and 25. Then, on March 25th, West Jordan police confirmed a separate active domestic violence case after Mortensen submitted video authorities believed dated to early to mid-2024. As of the latest publicly available reporting on April 4th, no new charges had been announced in those current investigations, and any person accused in a criminal matter is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. As of the latest available information, proceedings are ongoing. To understand why this latest update drew so much attention, you have to go back to 2000. That year, Paul was arrested after a domestic dispute involving Mortensen. Public reports and court record summaries say she was accused of throwing chairs during the altercation while a child was present. Court records later showed that Paul pleaded guilty in abeyance to aggravated assault in August 2023, while other charges tied to that case were dismissed. In plain terms, that plea arrangement meant the case did not end like a standard conviction so long as the terms were satisfied, but it also meant the incident stayed part of her public record and career narrative. When a longer video of that $22,000 altercation resurfaced in March 2026, the story exploded again, because it gave the public a more direct look at an incident that had already been described in police and court documents. That resurfaced footage had immediate fallout for Paul's television career. Disney Entertainment Television told Entertainment Weekly on March 19th that it would not move forward with the new season of The Bachelorette at that time, after the newly surfaced video, and that its focus was on supporting the family. That was a major reversal, because Paul had already filmed the season and had been announced months earlier as the lead for season 22, a notable casting move, because she came in from outside the traditional franchise pipeline. At the same time, production on season 5 of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives was reported as paused. Hulu's own press materials still list Paul among the central stars of the series, which underscores how much of her brand and platform remain tied to that show, even as her off-screen issues continue to dominate the conversation. The family and legal stakes also changed in a very concrete way in March. Mortensen filed for a protective order against Paul on March 19th, and public reporting said a hearing was set for April 7th. KUTV reported that a Utah court commissioner approved a temporary order on March 20th, barring Paul from contacting Mortensen and requiring her to stay at least 100 feet away from him. Separate reporting on court documents said Mortensen was granted temporary custody of Ever. Under the order, the Los Angeles Times also reported that Paul was not granted visitation with their son under the temporary protective order arrangement at that stage. So when Paul posted from Moab, viewers immediately noticed who was there and who was not. Indy and Ocean were with her, while the situation involving Ever remained tied up in an active court matter and broader public scrutiny. Both sides have also tried to frame the public narrative through representatives and limited public remarks. And that matters because this story is now being fought in both legal and reputational terms. Paul said publicly in March that it had been a heavy time, and she also said communication with Mortensen was being handled through a third party because they were in a no-contact situation. Her representative later told Entertainment Weekly that Paul was prioritizing her family's safety and security and accused Mortensen of years of mental and physical abuse and threats of retaliation. Mortensen, through a representative quoted in public reporting, denied the implication that he was trying to publicize the case and said his number one priority was protecting their son, Ever. Those dueling accounts are important because they show that the public still does not have a full, independently confirmed picture of what allegedly happened in the newer incidents. What has not been publicly confirmed are the full circumstances of the alleged 2024 incident, the full contents of the video West Jordan police are reviewing, and whether either of the ongoing investigations will ultimately produce charges. That is why the Moab trip matters beyond a simple vacation post. It is the first clear family-focused image from Paul, after weeks of headlines dominated by investigation updates, a protective order, custody changes, and canceled television plans. It shows her leaning into the role of mother to her older children, at a moment when much of the public discussion has centered on court records, police procedures, and footage from past conflict. But it also does not resolve the larger questions surrounding her situation. The trip does not answer what investigators will conclude. It does not change the fact that a hearing was scheduled for April 7th, and it does not settle the still unresolved gap between what Paul's camp alleges about abuse and retaliation, what Mortensen's side says about safety and co-parenting, and what authorities may or may not be able to prove. In a media cycle built on instant takes, the verified reality here is slower, more procedural, and far more complicated. So the clearest confirmed update right now is this. As of April 4th, 2026, Taylor Frankie Paul is publicly spending time in Moab with Indy and Ocean, while separate Utah investigations involving Dakota Mortensen remain open in public reporting. Mortensen retains temporary custody of Ever under a temporary protective order arrangement, and her already filmed Bachelorette season is off the schedule. The next major public milestone is the April 7th court hearing, tied to the protective order. Until then, the biggest open question is whether the ongoing investigations will lead to any new formal action, or whether this story remains defined by allegations, statements, and fallout rather than new charges. Thanks for watching Starline Daily.